Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that fighting for the city of Severodonetsk may decide the outcome of the war in the east of the country. The focus of the war switched to the east at the end of March after Russian forces pulled back from the region around Ukraine's capital, Kiev. Large parts of the Donbass have been under the control of Russian-backed separatists since the fighting broke out in 2014 and 15, and this comes in the last hour. Russian media is reporting that the British soldiers, which were captured in Ukraine by the Russians, have now been sentenced to death. I'll repeat that the British soldiers, 2 of them, who were captured in Ukraine by the Russians, have now been sentenced to death. Well, joining me now to react to that news and more is the former president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko. Thank you so much for joining us on the briefing, Mr. Poroshenko. Really appreciate you being here. First of all, can I get your reaction to this news that in what seems to be some sort of show trial, the Russians have condemned 2 Britons to death?
First of all, we have more than 2,500 Ukrainian, several foreigners, including 2 British, which with the weapons in the hands fight for Ukrainian sovereignty, for Ukrainian independence. And this is the barbarian face of Russia. This is just a strong message which the whole world should send to Russia, that Russia has a zero jurisdiction on this territory. This is the Ukrainian soil. This is the Ukrainian state. This is the Ukrainian people who, with the weapons in their hands, protect their own land. And this is an aggressor country with the Russian barbarians who come here to kill Ukrainians. And on behalf of all Ukrainians, as the 5th president of Ukraine, I want to thank all the British people, including those who are now in Ukraine, including those who are voting to support Ukraine, receiving Ukrainian refugees, because this is extremely great symbol of solidarity. And when you are talking about the Severodonetsk, this is the extremely important point, and Ukraine paying now a huge price. Yesterday, I was in Lviv, and we were in the church for funeral of Portman Alexei. This is the soldier, Ukrainian soldier who were killed in Svetogorsk. He has 3 children, he has a wife, he has hundreds of people who come to the church to say the farewell. And this is the price Ukraine pay every day, because more than 100 Ukrainian soldiers per day are killed. More than 500 Ukrainian soldiers are wounded per day. And this is extremely important because the Severodonetsk can become a turning point for deoccupation, at least for Donetsk and Lugansk region. What's happening there? The Putin said that in April, the whole Donbass would be captured by Russian troops. Then he said on the so-called Victory Day, 9th of May, whole Donbass would be, as a great order of the Putin, occupied by Russia. Now he said that before 12th of June, before tomorrow, the so-called Days of Russia, all Donetsk would be occupied by Russia. And only Ukrainian armed forces, which were created in the year 2014 by me as a Supreme Commander-in-Chief of Ukrainian Armed Forces and was based on the NATO standard, was equipped with the NATO weapons. And I want to thank for that United Kingdom and United States, because your cannon, your howitzer is already there. And your ammunition helping us, Ukrainian, to stop Putin. And I want to thank you for helping us to save Europe's security, including British security.
Well, I know that everyone in the United Kingdom feels immensely proud to be standing alongside Ukraine and the Ukrainian people in your fight. But turning now to where you have been this week, Mr. Poroshenko, you have been visiting a conference of the European People's Party. You've been outside of Ukraine and talking to leaders of the European Union. What was your experience in the requests that Ukraine has of the European Union?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm full of impression because this is my first visit for 105 days of war. 15 weeks, Ukrainian with the weapons in their hands, protecting Ukrainian sovereignty and European security. And I stay here, and from this position to the Russian troops was less than 5 kilometers. And we were under constant shelling of Russian cruise missiles and Russian shelling. And with this situation, we definitely now have a statistics that Russia launched more than 2,600 cruise missiles against Ukraine since the beginning of the war. And now I go to Europe. Why now? Because this is extremely important month for Ukraine. Because on the 23rd of June, it would be the session of the European Union Council, where should be made the historic decision for Ukraine, given to us, voting the decision to give to us the candidate status as a future membership of Ukraine. And I'm proud that me as a president of Ukraine vote and change the constitution, put in the constitution obligatory as an aim for our foreign policy, full membership in EU and NATO. Of course, British people is not the best after Brexit to deliver these messages. But believe me, now Ukrainian has more than 80% of the people support transatlantic and European integration. And I'm very much proud that European People Party on their Congress voted unanimously about support Ukrainian application for the status. And the chairman of our family group, Mr. Manfred Weber, voted in the European Parliament, and European Parliament make a historic decision just yesterday about granting to Ukraine the status. And the Council of Presidents for European Parliament do the same. And on 28th to 30th of June in Madrid, it would be also historic summit of NATO. And with that situation, when Ukraine demonstrate and surprise the world by Ukrainian armed forces, by our unity, by our solidarity with the whole world, we stop Russian troops. And that's why giving to Ukraine the membership action plan as a huge stimulus for reform, for changing, as a have shoulder to shoulder with the NATO troops, Ukrainian armed forces, that would be extremely important and very great decision for the NATO summit.
Certainly, certainly. Well, we wish you well on your journey to accession process of the European Union. But just finally, Petro Poroshenko, I noted that Volodymyr Zelensky on earlier this week said that he was pleased that Boris Johnson won the confidence vote in the House of Commons, that he remained Prime Minister, that he's a strong ally of Ukraine. Is that a view that you share?
Look, I'm a right person to be asked, because I cooperate with Boris Johnson as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, as a Foreign Secretary, and he demonstrates a unique charisma and unique support of my nation, which is already more than 8 years in the war. And we really feel the shoulder of the real friend. We think that Boris Johnson demonstrates a great leadership of the whole Western world, not only of the great British people, to make a breakthrough and to facilitate, supply everything from nutrition to ammunition, and the lethal weapons from the Great Britain play a key role in the first hours of the aggression. And we now have even a poem about the anti-tank missiles in Laos, which is supplied to us with the British people, British government and Boris Johnson. And we definitely respect the United Kingdom democracy on this voting, but believe me, we are happy. Boris, congratulations.
Well, Petro Poroshenko, former president of Ukraine, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We really appreciate what you have to say on all of the issues that we've covered there.